President, the next item is to raise the minimum wage to $10.10 per hour for all kind of employees currently making less than $10.10 per hour. And I would ask the legal department if I can get Mr. Tableson to help me with this item. And I don't want to put him on the spot, but one of the reporters asked me, do we know anyone else, any other government entities that's raising the pay? And Mr. Tableson was telling me about Ole Miss, how they raise them. Mr. Tableson, would you?
Yes, I was talking with members of the Institute of Higher Learning. They said that the University of Mississippi just decided to raise pay for all its lower paid individuals to no less than $10.10.
Well, the reason I placed this item on the agenda, members of this body, is because we're at the end of the budget year. And all of it, Ms. Wood and the county administrator concerning our budget. The fund balance, the money that's not spent at the end of this budget year, has mostly been allocated. But there are some funds, because no one's going to spend all their money, that we can utilize to meet this goal. And I think, Ms. Woods, you said it will cost how much?
An updated list that I've done is more than $66,287.
$66,000.
That's an annual amount.
Yes. And then we can have, when we have the budget revisions, we can make sure we'll put those items to make sure that it's carried on into the new budget. But $66,000 is a little over $66,000 is what she's saying we need. And with the fund balance, doing this at the end of this budget year, it's not going to be difficult nor impossible to come with the $66,000. And Hinds County leading, I know Ole Miss has done it and others are suggesting it, but I so move that we move to $10.10 per hour.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Questions? Supervisor Greer.
Of course, I want to pay people what they're worth, and I appreciate wanting to raise the minimum wage, but we're going to be looking at about a $4.3 million deficit this next year from what our revenues are projected, because they're $2 million down at $54 million, and our proposed expenses are about $58.3 million. We're going to have to be finding ways to cut as opposed to finding ways to spend. So I'm not going to be in favor of this motion.
Supervisor Stokes.
Mr. President, from meeting with Ms. Woods, and they can correct us, Ms. Davis, where we have the slack in the budget, that's where the fund balance comes into play. And that fund balance, again, is money that's not being spent this budget year. And it just showed good leadership with the county administrator and finance that we would have a fund balance that we can meet these goals that we have in front of us. That means, again, as we finish this budget year out, the end of this month, all the money that is not spent, that has not been earmarked, normally government calls it fund balance. That's from what I saw in the report. That's, and Ms. Wood, correct me if I'm wrong, that's the money we're going to have. It's not that we're looking for money, that's what we're going to have to make sure that the budget balance next budget year. And I'm saying that with $66,000, we will even have more than what they're saying. That's where the money can come from, so we can make these goals happen.
Supervisor Graham.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, I don't even think it should be a question about whether or not we should pay everyone the minimum wage. We spent over $700,000 on a roof. We're spending $10,000 on livestock. So we can't spend $66,000 on our employees to make sure that they make minimum wage. I don't think that we're doing what we should be doing. I think that we're neglecting our responsibility. That it should not even be a question as to whether or not we pay the minimum wage. It's the reason why I second this motion. Thank you.
All right. I have a comment then. Supervisor Greer has a comment. my concerns is that I have not seen the numbers that are being proposed. I too am supportive of everybody making a adequate or decent living as well, and I would not refer to 1010 as being the minimum wage. This is roughly, for some employees, it's almost a $3 increase in pay, and they most definitely deserve it and or need it. The problem that I have is, again, this has been on the agenda for a while, but I have yet to see the numbers that are being referred to. And the concern that it brings up, we're still operating on 3 state of emergencies. Emergencies with the Hinds County Detention Center and 10 cents. There's another effect that happens. You've got some employees that's been on the county for 12, 13 years who are perhaps making $10.15. Now you've got employees that have been here. There's a 12-year, 10-year, 15-year separation between them, and they're making the exact same pay and or within a very close range. What are we going to do about those employees to bump up? I have not seen any of those numbers, and that is what I'm concerned about as well, the effect of those that you're bumping to. I cannot support it today, and that's not to say I cannot support it. I cannot support it today in this action and this vote until we can find out for sure all of the numbers involved. And again, we can address some of the long-term concerns as far as the state of emergencies that the county is currently operating on when we make a decision that is a reoccurring yearly expense that will not go away. This is not a one-time hit. This is every year that we have to make part of the budget. Supervisor Greer.
You addressed my point concerning recurring costs, but you know, the bigger picture here is that we've got roughly 1,000 employees in the county, which probably is too much. And so when you spread the load over so many people, you can't pay them all at the high level that you want to pay them. And my case in point is you look at our road budget, our road maintenance budget. You've got a $5 million budget. You've got 99 people in that. You pave $250,000 worth of roads. So if you look at the core responsibility of what I think government or the county should be doing, that's paving rural roads, and you've got a $5 million budget, but you got 99 people, so you can't afford to buy asphalt to pave the roads, which is your core responsibility, then you drop the ball. We need to get back to what we think our core job is. And that's what I'm trying to get to. That's my
Supervisor Stokes.
Mr. President, just to call a spade, it just sounds like Republican red. You got the money, and if you had questions, just like I asked Ms. Woods, any member of this body could ask Ms. Woods, and she would give us a number. That's who gave me the money. That's her job. Now, if you feel like the Republicans don't want to give the people who are at the lower end of this budget a pay raise, then say that. But all this other stuff, we all understand budget revisions. We're not new to government. You're going to have budget revisions during the year. The money is there from the fund balance to give them the money. You have budget revisions all during the year to make sure the money stays in place. Man, we're not new to this. We're true to this. So don't sit up here and give us a shell game like the money ain't there, we can't find it. Y'all just don't want to raise the minimum wage and say that. Thank you.
District 4, Supervisor Greer.
This is our general fund cash analysis that came out of our budget department. We've got a rolling cash balance that we're taking forward of $8.5 million. Our proposed revenue is down $2 million from last year at 56 to this upcoming year at $54 million. And our proposed expenses are going to be roughly flat at $58 million. We're $4.3 million upside down going into next year. The only thing that keeps us, allows us to make this budget is that we're rolling over some cash from this year into next year. So we don't need to be increasing expenses. We need to be looking for ways to cut, because we can make it through next year, but the year after that, there needs to be a $4 million swing somewhere, either in revenue or cutting expenses.
Supervisor Stokes.
Thank you, Mr. President. That rolling over he mentioned is called, in legal terms, the fund balance. And that's what I said earlier. Ms. Woods is right here with Ms. Davis. They had met with all the supervisors. The supervisors were told that money that's not spent, which is the fund balance, is put in this budget. That's why the money is not short. Ms. Woods, do we have a short budget coming up next year?
You just take the, you're using the fund balance to cover your revenue shortfall.
No.
$4 million is still in.
Everybody in government does that. That's not new. And what we're saying is $66,000 can come from our fund balance, because it's gonna be more than that. That's why they cut spending, make sure people don't overspend. We don't want you to sit up here and think the county broke and we doing the budget, don't have money to pay the budget. The budget is there, the money is there. We can raise these salaries if we want to. Thank you.
Before Mrs. Calhoun speaks, again, the county did freeze all spending in July 3rd of this year for that very reason, to keep from going over. So all our spending has been frozen since July 3rd to carry us through the rest of this year. Supervisor Calhoun, then Mrs. Woods.
Ms. Wood, would you explain the budget that we're going to work with this year and the 4.3 deficit?
Okay, the budget that we're going to work with this year is basically the same budget that we're working with for 2014. I think it's about a $300,000 increase. However, the revenue is less in this year's, in the proposed budget versus the 2014 budget. And that shortfall creates about a $4 million shortfall if you just look at the revenue proposed and the expenditures proposed. However, because you have a fund balance or a beginning cash balance, that allows you to be able to cover your budget. So once we take out of that 8.5 million, the 4 million that we need, we still have roughly 4.2 million that will be set aside. Of that, 2.55 is set aside for reserve, leaving us the balance to work with any obstacles that we face in 2015, such as emergencies in the jail and those things of that nature. As it relates to the proposed increase, this impacts 44 employees. 30 of those employees are general fund employees and 14 are public works employees. So the minimum, the number of employees that are below the 1010 is 44 employees. And if I'm not mistaken, the largest monthly increase impact would be like $1.51.
Call the question, Mr. President.
We do have a motion and a second on the floor. Any other comments? All in favor, use the sign aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? No. Motion fails. Supervisor Stokes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Could we have, who voted against, Mr. President?
Clerk, can you read the report?
Yes, sir. Voting against the motion was Supervisor Peggy Calhoun, Supervisor Tony Greer, and Supervisor McQuaid.
Thank you.
And those for the record?
For the record, 4 was Supervisor Stokes and Supervisor Grant.
Thank you.
Mr. President, we have covered item 4. Item number 5, Public Works. How many dirt roads do we have in Hinds County?
We have approximately 17.
17 dirt roads.
That's on our road report.
Okay. How much would it cost to pave those 17 dirt roads?
We have to look at that.
Could you give the board the listing of all the dirt roads and how much it costs to pave those dirt roads? I had a gentleman call me and I know when I ride, I hear some see dirt roads, we have some gravel, but dirt roads in this day and time is something that we just, for the largest county in the state, monetarily, is something that seems not to be acceptable in this day and time. So I'll be waiting on that. Mr. President, item number 6 is to order the Hinds County Board of Supervisors appointment of Vincent Burge to the Hinds County Economic Development Authority representing District 5. We have a position that's coming open. One of our members of the board must resign. His job is having a conflict with the meeting of the Hinds County Economic Development Authority. And we'll recommend